Wondering if by 2026, and time flies, it's still worth to write, to have a blog post on your website. Why should we have what we should talk about if these questions, these anxieties, they are kind of consuming you? This live show is for you because we will be talking about this. So stay there because I'll be back talking about this. Just a moment. Welcome to another episode of the Special Marketing Live Show. It's a pleasure to be here again with you. It's an honor as well to know that you are on that other side in the world. You can tell me where are you located in the world? How's the weather here in Portugal? The sun finally appeared. So welcome. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you want, you can go. You may find the links to find this on Substack. If you're not already on Substack, you can follow me also or subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can do whatever you want, but please subscribe. Hit the like button. If you know someone that may be interested in this topic, please feel free to share because all the people in the world, they like to share, and I like that you share my content as well. So today we will have an amazing guest, Alison Verhalen. I think this is the way to spell it. I had to know. I need to ask Alison about the roots of this surname because I'm curious about it. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask. Let me see if Alison is ready. I don't know what's happening. Okay, she left. Let's see if she will be back because maybe she's with some technical issues. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know anything. Feel free to. And by the way, in the description you have some links, some affiliate links, which you can find some of my favorite tools like StreamYard, for instance. If you buy from there, I will get a small commission, which doesn't mean that the price will increase for you. Okay, so I think that Alison is back. So let's do this. Hopefully this will work because I like to. Okay, now this is nice when technology somehow likes to mess with us. Okay, today we don't have the intro moment, but okay, I can applaud. I think I can do this. Hey! Let me do this again. Just let me tell you this. So I have a mixer slash audio interface which has a pad with lots of buttons, and usually when I press one button, a sound comes. Okay, but the thing is, today it doesn't want to collaborate with the memory card, so I don't have the extra sound. So Alison, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here to talk about this interesting topic about blogging and writing for the web and being found in the web. If you don't mind to introduce yourself, and then we can jump into the conversation.
Yes, as you said, my name is Alison Verhalen. My company is AV Writing Services. I like to say I write the words that go on to your website that tell everyone who you are, what you do, and why we should all care. So that includes blogging, which I know we'll be talking about in depth. That also includes landing pages, sales pages, bios, all that good stuff.
Awesome. And let's start with the provocative question because we know, Alison, we live in this dictatorship that short form content, video, mainly video, and so nobody reads by these days. This is something amazing because I think that suddenly people they don't go to the school to learn reading. Is it still a thing by 2026? blogging?
It is. It is still very much a thing. Google, I know people are trying to say Google is dead. Google is not dead. Google is alive and well. Yes, it is losing some market share in the online search space, but it is still dominating with 80+% of online search. And yeah, Google uses a lot of content, specifically blogs, to determine whether, to get the answers that people are looking for. It also needs to know that your content is fresh and relevant and new. So the newer the publication date, the more recent publication date you have on your content, the more likely you are to show up not only in Google, but AI also, Google it also uses a lot of AI. But when we talk about AI, a lot of people mean Chat, GPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever your LLM of choice is, large language model, right? The chatbots, whatever you're using. A lot of those also rely on recent information when they're giving people answers. So, yeah, it's still very much, not to mention the fact that if you actually do get someone to your website, they're not just going to take your word for it. They're not just going to click through and go, okay, yeah, let's set up a call. They're going to do some exploring, especially if you're in a B2B space or providing a professional service. They're going to want to make sure that you really know what you're talking about and you're actually a knowledgeable expert in your field. They're going to go straight to your blog to do that. Most people consume on average 5 to 7 pieces of content before making a buying decision, before even reaching out to talk for that consultation, that sales call. So yeah, you absolutely need your blog to do all that.
Yes, absolutely. And I I get crazy when people they talk about long form things like they are the only way to provide value and to be heard and to be trusted, because yes, it's funny to see those funny videos, 15 second, 10 second, but when our business is to build trust and to be trusted and to make people willing to buy from us, make business with us, I don't believe that a 15-second video could make the work for me. Do
No,
you
it's a
think?
great way to get their attention. There's absolutely a time and a place for the short form. I'm all for it. It gets their attention, it stops the scroll, but then you need to get them to that next level. It also has to convince them, hey, there's more juicy stuff over here. Let's really dive deep. And the people who don't want to dive deep are not going to click through, and that's fine. But the people who do want to dive deep, not only are they going to click through, but now that's a more qualified lead. That's not someone who's just looking for something online because it caught their interest and they ended up on your website and they're not really interested and they're going to bounce away. If they're really interested and they do want more, then they're going to click through to your website. Now you have to do the work of converting that lead, because if you do, that's a really high quality lead.
Absolutely. So let's go to the title of this live show, because it is actually what you somehow lead the conversation. Talking about leads, you lead the conversation to this, because you
Here we
mentioned
go.
something that it's actually important, because sometimes we forget this. So it's nice to have a blog tab on our website. It's nice to have good texts, but what do we want people to accomplish when they go to our website, when they find our blog? And I believe this is one of a big issue, because sometimes we want people to go to our website, but then we don't send the light. How can I say? The breadcrumbs, because this is actually a thing that
Yes,
we have in
exactly.
our websites, but we don't. Most of the times we don't even have them. It's not the thing that
Hmm.
that they are not properly aligned with our business. It's the fact that we don't have the breadcrumbs to help people to accomplish what we want them to accomplish when they visit our website. Your thoughts on this?
100%. So it's fascinating. I've always loved this topic, but it's gotten even more interesting with the rise of chatbots and AI summaries and all that good stuff. Because when I started this, I would say go for the informational posts, go for the topics that are what is such and such, or what do I need to know about XYZ, or is this something I need to be concerned about? Those kind of top level, and when I say top of the level, I mean top of the funnel, right? Those people are
Hmm.
just starting to be aware that there's an issue here. Maybe they have a problem. Creating content around that used to be really valuable because you get those people to your website early on and then you capture them. Then you get their email, you keep sending information to them, which is an important part of the strategy, is to make sure that you're not creating content that's information, getting people to read it, and then saying, hey, do you want to reach out for a consultation? Let's schedule something. Let's get something on the calendar. They are not ready for a consultation at that point. If you are selling professional services, if you're in the B2B space, they're just exploring. They're just getting their toes in the water. They're not nowhere near ready for that consultation, which we all know is code for sales calls. So they're just going to click away and they're never going to come back. So instead, like I love the analogy you use with the breadcrumbs. It is absolutely like that. You need to kind of get them here and then get them over here and then get them over here, and you have to have content that leads them through that process. So maybe it is a video to get their attention, and then, hey, if you want more information, I wrote a whole blog post about it over here. Oh, you like the blog post? Sign up for our newsletter. You can get updates. You can make sure you stay up to date on this topic. Whatever the trending, I mean, AI is again another perfect example because everyone wants to know about AI. So you can have a newsletter saying, hey, if you want to stay up to date on AI in this particular industry, let me know. And you can, give us your email address and we'll send you updates. Now you have their email address. You're consistently putting content in front of them, content that is not only nurturing them and helping you stay top of mind, it's also educating them. So by the time they are ready to hire, they're like, all right, I need someone to solve this problem for me. I'm going to reach out to Marco because I get his newsletter every week and it's full of great information. And I know he's the best at what he does. So I'm going to reach out to him. So, and now they're a more qualified lead, right? They're not going to be that lead that hops on the phone and tries to explain to you how you should be doing your business or what's the right way to go about this. They're going to look to you as the expert and they're going to understand the value you provide. It makes those sales calls so much easier.
Absolutely. And there's a thing about what you mentioned about qualifying customers, about qualifying leads as well. And there's this thing that I'm getting, how can I say? Let me call it more inflexible. Because one of the things, and sometimes I believe that some marketing professionals, they are kind of a little bit skeptical about talking about this, but I believe that this should be something that we should have in mind, we should be aware of, which is, and let me call how we like to say the things by the names here, we should disqualify customers. Because
100%.
if we make it clear how we work, what we believe, how we do things, how our tone, having people understanding, I don't want to work with this guy or I don't want to work with this brand. It's so easy to our business, avoiding people which could become, instead of a good business partner, a headache.
Mhm.
Are you on this, in this path as well, or you never thought about this, or you're not as, how can I say, inflexible as I am?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. When you really understand your audience down to, not just demographics, but what language are they using? How are they thinking about this problem? What steps are they using to address this problem? Understanding that so that you can embed all of that into your content, use the language that they're using, use the language you use, but it's more important to use the language they use, because that is such a way to indicate tribe. We are very tribal creatures. I know we like to think we have evolved beyond that. Our brains have not.
Yeah.
Our brains are still very much, are you in my tribe or are you not? If you're in my tribe, great. We're going to get along. I don't have to fear you. I don't have to worry about you. If you're not part of my tribe, you might be a threat. You might be trying to take resources away from me and mine, and that is concerning. And it's not always about like, well, I grew up with these people and now there's this other person. because we've gotten so global. So we've kind of come up with other ways to figure out who our tribe is. What are they wearing? How are they talking? Language is a huge way, not only, language, English versus Spanish or Portuguese or whatever, but even within our own languages, the dialects you use, the language that you use, the word choice that you use makes a huge difference as far as, oh, this is my person, or this is really not my person. My actually favorite example is swearing, because a lot of people think swearing is not professional and you should never do it in your content. And I'm like, there's a time and a place for it, because there are a lot of people who do swear while they're working with their clients. Once they've established that comfort level, yeah, they're going to let the occasional F-bomb drop, and their client is okay with that. If you know your clients are okay with that, go ahead and put that in your content, because the people who are right for you will be attracted to that. They'll be like, I never see content with this word. This person's really authentic. This person they're the real deal. Now I want to know more. And the wrong people, like you said, are going to be like, oh, I can't believe they put that in their content. I'm out of here. And that's a good thing, because
You're rude.
They're not your ideal client. Yeah. They're like, oh, I
absolutely.
can't do this.
Absolutely. So, with all this discussed, let me ask you this, because I believe even by these days this remains a issue, which is, I don't want that many text on my website, because I believe that people, if they get it on my website and they see these long text blocks, they will leave running, like yelling and screaming, like, oh my god, there's a long text there, oh, let me go. He will eat me. So your thoughts on this, because I believe this is one issue, because people, they are afraid that having a long text, they still thinking that it's okay to have photos and just some nice flashing effects, and people will get kind of mesmerized looking at my website, and they will get scared, and they will run away from long texts. What do you have to say about this? Because I believe this is a really basic situation, a really basic thing that we should, but it's important.
100%. Yes. Again, the people who are really interested are going to read all of that content, with the caveat that, yeah, if you have a giant text block, yeah, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, do I have time for this? It is kind of intimidating. A lot of people will be like, I don't know if I really have time to read all that. I'm going to click away. So yes, have the long content and as much content on there as makes sense. Don't write long content for the sake of writing long content. But if there's a lot to talk about in that issue, yeah, go ahead and make it a really long, in-depth post. The bots love those long, in-depth posts, because it's really juicy. It gives them a lot to work with when they are providing those answers for the people looking for those answers. So absolutely, it's great. I do recommend breaking it up, which means not only images, it doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to kind of give your eyes a rest. What else gives your eyes a rest is lots of white space. So have short paragraphs, short sentences. I know there are certain snobs, I used to be one of them, who are annoyed by the like one sentence paragraphs, but it works. It gives their brains a break. It's not nearly as intimidating to see a few lines and then a break and then a few more lines of text. That's something we can digest very easily. And we'll keep scrolling to the next paragraph and the next and the next. And before you know it, we've read the whole piece without realizing it. Also, breaking it up, and especially if it's more than like 300 words, or make sure that you've got subheadings. Not only does that help break it up, it also helps make it really scannable, because I know we invest all this time and effort into creating all this content. We want to believe people are going to read every word. Most people are not reading every word. There are a few, There are a few who are really invested. They're going to spend more time on it, but most people just want to get to the part that interests them. So again, having those subheadings also helps the robots understand your content, and it breaks it up for them. And sometimes they'll send people directly to that section of your content. So make sure that it's really scannable for the robots as well as for the humans. So if the humans are like, yeah, I know this. Oh, wait, this part here is interesting. I'm going to stop and read this. Having that headline to help them understand what each section is about is really valuable. So yes, break it up with images, short paragraphs, and those subheadings to make it really easy for people to either read a lot of text or skip to the part that interests them.
Awesome, awesome. And another thing that you mentioned, Allison, and for me it's something that I love, is about fresh content. But when I think about fresh content, I have two questions, because let me do this. Let me make this statement, declaration of intentions. I'm a evergreen content lover. This is something that I love. So there are two questions when we talk about this. One, is there, I don't think there is, but let me ask you, is there, how can I say, a ratio that we should have kind of timely content and evergreen content? First question. Second question, and this is important as well, because you said fresh content, but if we have
Mhm.
evergreen content, it means that a content who has 1 year, 2 years, depending on the topic, of course, some they go a little bit faster, some they get in the market a little bit more, but I believe that it's good to refresh it from time to time. Do you have a kind of moment that we should, for instance, I wrote this long green evergreen content 1 year ago. Let me take a look and refresh it and make it a little bit better? Or do you think that it depends also in the, well, it should, in the context as well? Did I
So to
make
answer
myself
your
clear?
first question, yes. Yes.
Okay.
So to answer the first question, I don't think there's a ratio that I would use of evergreen to timely content. Definitely when you're starting out, I might want to focus more on the evergreen content just to help establish yourself in the industry,
Hmm.
and to establish yourself as that thought leader. And then you have all of that juicy evergreen content to fall back on if times are slow and maybe there isn't anything newsworthy to write about right now. Maybe you don't have something super timely. I do like to wait at least a year before bringing back evergreen content. Yes, I love republishing, and there is a way to do it to get the most out of it. It's not just a matter of going back and tweaking it and then just, hitting save or refresh.
Yeah.
You have to actually take down, you have to unpublish that blog post. And then you don't even have to edit it. You can make changes. You should absolutely check and make sure it's still relevant and up to date. And if there's anything that needs to be changed, go ahead and do that. If there are any links in there that need to be updated, make sure you do that. And then once you've done that, then republish it. Give it a new publication date. Again, that's going to signal to the robots that, okay, this is brand new content. And so they're going to treat it just like brand new content. It also gives that content new life. I always try to pick the evergreen content that is already getting some traction and has been getting traction for a while. There's one post in particular on my website I've republished like 4 times because people keep coming back to it and it keeps getting traffic. So on the days when I just don't have time to write a new blog post, I will go back to that one and republish it as long as I haven't republished it in a while. Because yeah, people keep going back to it. So choose those ones that are already getting traffic because you're going to give it new life and you're really going to get the most out of it by republishing it.
Awesome. Awesome. And let's talk about another, how can I say, because I believe this is one of the myths when we talk about SEO, which is you hear in your door knock knock, or someone calls you, or someone writes you an email. Hey, listen, I
Mhm.
want to work with you. I want to be number one on Google.
Oh
So
yeah.
tell us about this, because there's
Yeah, well,
this misconception. Yes.
yeah, well, and usually when people think about being number one on Google, they think of like the hardest keywords to rank for. Like a real estate agent wants to be like, I want to rank for number one for realtor in Chicago. Okay, that's not going to happen. let's let's get a little more realistic. And the way you get realistic is by getting more specific. Again, really understanding who your audience is, what it is you're doing, who you do it for, what sets you apart. As an example, there's a financial planner I know who works here in Chicago, and specifically helps women going through divorce. So they were ranking really highly and getting a lot of traffic off of the keyword Chicago financial planner divorce, getting a lot of traffic that way because it was really specific as to what they were doing and what is the situation that people are in when they're looking for us. And they got a lot of traffic that way. So I mean, yes, we can get you to number one. And the other myth that tends to go along with that is sometimes people want to be number one tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, how much are you willing to pay for ad space? Because we can get you up there via ads, but we're not going to organically get you there overnight. It takes a while for the robots to scan your content and digest it and cache it and all that good stuff. So you're not even going to be on their radar for at least a couple months. And then it takes time to earn their trust, just like it takes time to earn the trust of any audience. They're going to be like, all right, this person put up a few blog posts. Are they going to keep putting up blog posts, or are they going to get excited and write some blog posts and then get busy and forget about it? And we're never going to hear from them again. You have to show up consistently. And I don't just mean consistently in terms of time, that too, but also consistency in terms of the quality has to be consistent, the tone and the voice have to be consistent, the topics you cover have to be consistent, not the same topics, but all within the same, under the same umbrella of broad topics. So yeah, it's never, and there is no overnight success in SEO.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and coincidentally, I made on my other podcast, which is in Portuguese, I made an episode talking about consistency, because there's this thing that consistency is key, blah blah blah, and it's good to be consistent, but most of the people, they don't get what consistency is, and also some of them, they, how can I say, they don't understand that consistency just by herself doesn't make anything. Because if you don't, for instance, if you are consistent but you don't look what you're doing, the results you're getting, if it's good, whatever, doesn't, it's nothing. And I think in when we talk
Mhm.
about this, it's pretty important. And talking about SEO consistency, we hear a lot as well. So Google just changed the algorithms now. That I'm okay, that there's this thing, and but I believe, like everything else, that some practice, some things we do on web, our content and website, they somehow they will remain there, working for us.
Mhm.
What would you say for people, like, if you did this 10 years ago, 5 years ago, today, and hopefully within 1 year, 5 years, this will still work for you?
Yes. Consistently creating high quality content that is tailored to your audience, that answers the questions they're asking, and it does so in the language they're using. Do that consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, and you will see results. Because yes, Google changes their algorithm, but the goal has never changed. Google's goal has always been to help their users find the information, the content that answers the questions they're asking. That's it. Every update to the algorithm has been done with the intention of doing that better. just getting better and better at identifying what is high quality content. Is this answering their questions? So, for example, keyword stuffing is something that used to be used back in the day. And if you're not familiar with what I mean by keyword stuffing, I mean you stuff as many keyword times as you keyword can into keyword paragraph or a piece of content keyword, and you rank for that keyword, right? That used to work way back in the day because that's all Google was looking at was just, oh, here's this keyword, here's the word people are using to look for it. We're going to mash them up. And it would work. And then Google was like, oh, no, this is actually really crappy content and we don't want to direct our users there. So then they would downgrade it. And it stopped working. It was a black hat, what we call a black hat SEO tactic, because it wasn't quality content. Google has gotten better and better at identifying what is high quality content, what is actually answering people's questions. So, yeah, if you were doing that 10 years ago and you're still doing it, then yeah, you're reaping the rewards. If you haven't done it at all, but you want to start right away, again, keep doing it consistently and you will reap the rewards.
Absolutely. And where you were talking about stuffing, I remember those people writing content in the text in the same color as the background of the website, so people didn't notice.
Some people still do that.
But there was another thing. This is not kind of stuffing, was more, how can I say, not doing things right. And I want to cover this topic as well, but let me start with this. When you had, for instance, hyperlinking topics that were related, okay, and you had this the anchor text instead of using a keyword, which is, I think, the right way to make it by these days. We had, we used to have, if you want to know more, click here. And there was a thing that once I had I was in a workshop about SEO, and then the trainer said, let's make a search for click a key, which means in Portuguese, hit here or click here. And we saw lots of results from Adobe.
Okay.
So first thing, when we have this kind of connections, and let me ask you, it remains something important having this hyperlinking within our blog. For instance, like there's this blog post you are reading, and so there's this one that it's nice to go further, or it has more complementary information. First question is this remain something interesting? And second thing, how we should do it?
Yes. Do it. Yes, it remains relevant. It remains interesting. And do it when it's relevant. The reason I like to use it, like you said, there's more information over here. If you want more information, click over here. It's also a good way of showing your work. I like to use it, for example, 67% of blah, blah get this result when they do this, right? Did I just pull that number out of my butt, or do I have a resource that shows that? So I will always look it up to make sure I'm not making things up, and then link to it to show my work so people can go, wait, does she really know what she's talking about here? Is this stat real? Where did this come from? And they can kind of do their own research from there. So yeah, and then there's backlinks is, I mean, even the term backlinks is an example. I ended up writing a blog post about backlinks because I was tired of re-explaining it every time I was writing about it. And I was like, here's the definition, go over here.
Okay, awesome. And this gets me to another topic of the conversation that I want to cover, because I believe it's good to think about this, and we already mentioned this before. So, and I had this on my podcast as well. So instead of, for instance, having a blog post deeper, covering lots of topics, and like, let's call it a Bible about something, instead of this, creating different episodes, linking them all together so they could be related. Also, we can create kind of like we see, and we can see these works on Netflix, HBO, whatever, when we are following TV show, and we are looking forward to see the next episode. So I believe, and I'm doing this right now in my podcast in Portuguese, like I'm covering a different, a kind of, let's call it an umbrella topic, and within that umbrella topic, I have 4 different episodes, all of them linked with each other, so I can create a kind of a wider narrative. But at the same time, this don't overwhelm people. Like, okay, I'm in this situation, I just need to see this. I don't need to go to after a blog post trying to find where this resonates with me. What your approach on this situation? Because I believe you have nice thoughts to share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of the longer in-depth content because the robots really appreciate the longer in-depth content. They tend to reward that with more traffic and higher search rankings. So I'm always in favor of that. Like I said, not only breaking it up, the other thing I like to do is put a table of contents at the top so that you can see right there, here's everything we cover in this. So if you just want to click on one and it'll take you straight to that section, makes it super easy. That said, yeah, breaking it down into a short, whether it's a short video or a short social media post, and then linking back to the blog post for, get more information over here. Absolutely. Those shorter bites of content are a great way to get people's attention. And then, like I said earlier in this episode, if you want more information, those people who want more information are going to click, and that's a higher quality lead for you.
Awesome. And you mentioned, it's your fault, you talked about social media. So we know, and I think by these days things are a little bit, how can I say, more relaxed, let me say it. Or there's no this crazy thing about Facebook, whatever. I think they are in a, how can I say, stabilized somehow. Your approach, so for instance, I have a blog post. Or I have a blog, and I want, of course, to spread the word in the world. How do you, for instance, which social media platforms do you think that are the best ones for this? Or you can share with us, if your situation is this, you can try this. Your thoughts on social media working on SEO behalf.
Yeah, totally depends on your audience. If your audience is, I tend to work with a lot of B2B professionals, so I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because that's where my audience hangs out. Other people, I was just talking to someone else who's a brand photographer, so she spends a lot of time on Instagram and Facebook because that's where her audience tends to hang out. That's really beneficial for her. So it's all about knowing your audience really well. Where are they hanging out? What makes the most sense? As far as a general recommend, and yes, the robots love social media content. It does help you show up in rankings regardless of the social media channel you're using. Instagram is a big one. That was a big announcement, I think, towards the end of last year, where suddenly Instagram is like, we're working with Google so that our stuff shows up in searches better. So now suddenly Instagram is a huge SEO opportunity that it did not used to be. YouTube, not only is video great, just in general, we are visual creatures. We love video, we love images. It's also, people tend to forget that YouTube is owned by Google. So there's kind of an automatic, it's worked in there. So of course, Google is going to recommend their own platform, right? If you have a video on such and such, it's going to show up in those searches. So those are the two I would unequivocally recommend, are probably Instagram and YouTube. But know your audience, know where they're hanging out, know where you're going to get the most bang for your buck in terms of the time and effort spent on that channel.
Absolutely. And there's let's put this a little bit broader, because I just thought about this, and I believe this is one of the biggest mistakes that since the history of humankind. And I believe this is one of the problems with content creators, which is I'm trying to overcome this. Okay, I'm a sinner, but at least I'm searching for my redemption. So, one of the big mistakes is we spend more time producing the content than making the distribution. And this is a huge
Mm,
mistake, I believe.
mm-hmm.
Tell us why.
100%. Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, there does kind of tend to be this mentality of if I build it, they will come. And that's not really true. Yes, you can do all the things to make sure all your SEO ducks are in a row so people can, who are looking for it, can find it. But there are a whole bunch of people out there who don't know you exist. And they won't know until you find ways to actively get in front of them, whether it's, social media is a big one for distribution. Um, Email marketing is another one. Get people onto your list so they don't make them come to your website over and over, but actually reach out to them through their inbox over and over. And then partner with people, get your content on, not, well, I mean, you can get your content on other websites, but you can also get them to link to your website on their website if it makes sense to do so. So yeah, finding ways to spread the word about who you are and what you do is the best way to make it easy for people to find you.
Absolutely, and I can't stress enough how important this is. And the thing is, I made this mistake. I had, I don't know, I think on my main YouTube account I have around 800 videos. Okay, I would say that, I don't know, maybe 50% at least, they are longer than, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. And I'm being good with this.
Mhm.
Probably the length is bigger. So I started, and thankfully, and we can address this topic as well because there's no way we can run away from it. So with AI tools, I can now, for instance, I can make these little nuggets. I can build a blog post. I can have this description, so I can create posts and spread them all over the internet. So, sorry. Are you using or let's break this down. Which how can I say, steps in the process would you, and how would you think that AI could
Mhm.
help us?
Everything you just mentioned is a really good use of AI. I love having the one piece of content that you then break into three different pieces of content, and then you can break it up into short pieces, and now you have even more pieces of content that you can share. That is a big hurdle. That's something AI can do well, right? Because you're creating the content, it's your expertise, it's your language, it's your knowledge. You're not having it create content for you. I always put generative in air quotes when people talk about generative AI, because AI does not generate anything. It just repurposes what it's been given and goes, here, is this what you want? Sometimes you're like, yeah, kind of. So yeah, don't have it generate anything for you. But if you give it stuff and then tell it what you want it to do with that content, that's a really good use of AI. Always check its work. Ideation is another one, with the caveat that you should have, if you don't have a keyword tool, talk to me or someone who does have a keyword tool so that we can do that keyword research for you. Just because I love using it to brainstorm and help me come up with ideas. But I always want to make sure that it's not just giving me a bunch of stuff that people have already covered, because then it's just more white noise and you're not going to have any chance of ranking. So I will use it to help me come up with ideas, but I will always go back to my keyword research tool before deciding on a topic to make sure A, there's actually demand for this, and B, it has not already been covered to death throughout the internet. And then I have no chance of ranking for it. Something I did recently with a client, because the client needed help coming up with a topic for their next blog post. So I took a link to their blog and dumped it into Claude, which is my favorite LLM, and said, hey, give me 5 blog post topics that have not already been covered on this blog, but would fit with her blog. So I didn't have to spend a bunch of time explaining to Claude, who this client is and what they tend to do. The information was all there in the link,
Yep,
and Claude
absolutely.
was able to digest it. And yeah, and gave me some really good ideas, one of which we ended up going with. So,
Awesome, awesome. Let me. I think we are about to we are getting close to the end, but I want to talk. I want to talk about this that happened a couple of weeks ago. So I was scrolling on LinkedIn, and suddenly this post kind of hit my eyes. I was reading it, and some, how can I say, noises around my hair, and then I went to the comments, and a lot of people addressing the same issues as I did, and I think we should be aware of. And let me talk about this. So there was a guy that has had this post like, okay, if you want to have a nice carousel for LinkedIn, what you can do? You go to a well-performing video on YouTube. You grab the link for that video, and then you go to a given LLM. I don't think this will make a huge difference, and ask to build based on that video to build a carousel so you can share on LinkedIn. Then you go to Canva, you have the text, you copy paste, blah 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 blah. And I thought, first thought, so this guy never mentioned that the video should be yours, or at least B, that if the video is not yours, you should do the credits to the actual author. This is my first big red flag, but not the only one, because let's think about this. And then people were saying, why should we do this? They were asking in the comment, to add value to the community. So for instance, I brought this blog, this post, people have value. But the thing is, for instance, I can create a post based on this tactic. I can create a blog post about SEO or a carousel based. So what, and now, because people, Marco, can you do SEO for me? No, I don't. Because I don't know. This is crazy. So your recommendations, Alison, because by these days, there's lots of tools that can do as you said, they can do the work. They can actually create blog posts, which could be nice. They have the knowledge, so for instance, to help you rank pretty well. But if you are trying to build a business based on trust, based on confidence, based on knowledge, it falls apart when people knock at your door and they understand that you just copied that from somewhere else, and then you don't know what you're talking about. Want to cover this, Alison, because I believe it's a pretty important issue, because it's tempting to have this shortcut, but by the end of the day, maybe it doesn't pay off.
yeah, there's a reason that I said in the last section about when you are using AI to break down the content, that what you're feeding it is your content, either something written or a video you've created that is you talking about a topic, because that is it's your language. It's also going to include your unique perspective and your take on a topic, and that's what's going to set you apart as a thought leader. Without that, it's just more white noise. That's where you get into the AI quote unquote generated content that's really just, well, everyone else says this, so why don't we also put this in here? Making sure that you are feeding the right content to your LLM before you ask it to do anything with that content is really important. Obviously, fact checking to make sure that it's accurate is really important. And yeah, you can't do that if you're stealing someone else's content and you're not actually an authority in your industry. So having that unique perspective and bringing that to the forefront in all of the content that you're creating is super important to stand out, because we have a whole lot of crappy content out. The AI slop, as everyone says now, is a real thing, and we're seeing it everywhere, and people are tired of it. So on the one hand, that's kind of a drawback that people are tired of it. But the benefit there, the opportunity, is that it's getting easier to stand out if you are one of the few people who actually shows your expertise and shows up as a real person in your content. That's another thing. AI is like super polished. It's not, and for a long time now, people have not wanted the super polished because it's not real. That's why, I mean, it's been ages ago that Facebook launched the live videos, where you don't have an opportunity to cut out the uhs and the ums and the what did I say? What was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought, or I got distracted by my dog, or whatever happened. Right? It's real life, and people are attracted to that. And there are so many people who resist that because it's not polished. It doesn't look professional. People don't want polished. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And if you show up as this super buttoned up person who only uses a specific set of words that has clearly been predetermined, and you don't have anything that makes you sound like a real human, that's going to turn people off. So showing up as your real self. I kind of hate to use the word authentic. It's been overused by people who are not authentic. So it's kind of lost its meaning. But if you are actually authentic and you actually show up as your true self, people are going to clue into that. And that is, I think, more important than ever, as we not only are we more online than ever, but with all the AI slop out there, people are going to gravitate more and more towards what looks real. And sometimes it's something that's a little bit messy, but that's what makes it relatable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with this said, let's somehow close our SEO conversation and let's go to the section that I love. Well, I love all the sections, of course, but this is the moment to bring up the guest favorites. I think you already got the questions, so let's do this.
I did, yes.
Okay, so this is why did I like so much this section, because some of my viewers they told me about how they love this section, because they get these nice informations. Sometimes we want to know from the specialists, from the professionals, what they are reading, what they are watching. So that's why I brought this section. So let me recap so you have some time to think. It's a movie, a book, a TV show, a habit, which should be healthy and legal, and also a tool. Let's start. Okay, so a movie.
Is it a movie I'm currently watching, or a movie like my favorite movie of all time?
Yeah, your favorite one.
Actually, I think the answer is the same to both. Sinners, which I wish had won the Oscar for Best Film this past weekend. It did not win, but it won some other Oscars. Such a stunning movie. I love it.
Let me note it. So now it's time for a book. And it doesn't have to be a technical book. It's a book you like or love.
Yeah, favorite book of all time is Sense and Sensibility, by Jane Austen.
Okay. Did you like the movie?
I love the movie. The one with Emma Thompson is my favorite.
Okay, nice. So, a TV show.
Severance is one that I'm completely obsessed with at the moment.
Okay, I need to check it. A tool.
My favorite SEO tool is SERPstat, SERPSTAT.com. I do keyword research with it. I do audits. I check my domain with it and the domains of my clients. It's, primarily, I think I started using it for keyword research, but I have since used it for so much more than that. So that is definitely my favorite SEO tool.
Awesome. And a habit.
Stretching first thing in the morning when I get out of bed, is to listen to some good music and stretch, so that I hopefully don't injure myself when my dog yanks on the leash on our morning walk. But it's been improving my flexibility, and it's a good way to start the day.
Awesome. Nice recommendation. So just to finish, where can people find it? Of course, you have the links in the video description, so you have the chance, but it's good to listen as well.
Yeah, so my website is AV, as in my initials, Alison Verhalen, right there. avwritingservices.com. You can reach me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. LinkedIn, I mentioned I'm on quite a bit. I think I'm the only Alison Verhalen on there. And I am on YouTube as Alison Verhalen Content Marketer.
Awesome. So, Alison, thank you so much for... Let's bring this applause again. Thank you so much for your time. It was a really pleasant, nice, and insightful conversation. Thanks also to all of you who were in that side of the screen watching. And if you are watching right now, or if you pick up later the recording, please feel free to make the questions you think they are good. Don't forget as well to subscribe, hit like button, send some questions, doubts, anxieties. Just let us know. You can also recommend topics that may be good to cover here. And with that said, thank you so much. Next week we will be back. Well, I will be back. At least. Thank you so much. See you. I think. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. I don't have, because I have this music by Warner Brothers. That's All Folks. And I can't okay, I can't not turn off the... Okay. So next week I will try to play That's All Folks. Let me try to do it by myself. Acoustic moment, unplugged. That's all, folks. Bye-bye. I tried. Bye-bye. See you.